Hello, everyone. Welcome to the latest Loyalty Chat with Tom. We have recorded this show on the 4th of January 2024, first show of the new year. And I'm thrilled to be joined here today by James Mackenzie of Hippo, a data scientist and self-confessed nerd. And
Yep,
I'd like to,
absolutely.
yeah, I'd like to bring James in. James, why don't you introduce yourself, talk to us a little bit about who you are, and then I'll introduce the topic for today.
Cheers, Tom. Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. I am a self-confessed nerd. So, as you can see, my background, this is where I work. It's full of every geeky thing you can imagine. I work for Hippo. I am the commercial director, new business director for Hippo, and we work in tech and geek and uber geeks. We do front end user led design, so helping businesses understand their customers, how they're going to utilize stuff, all the way through to data and how you structure that data to optimize and get the best value out of that. So really linked into loyalty. And for a long time, I worked in retail as well. So I love talking about loyalty. I love talking about how data and tech can make things better for everyone.
Perfect, thanks. And what we're going to talk about today here is AI, and we've been talking about this just before this call as we prepare, and you quite rightly said AI is the new shiny thing in loyalty. Well, just in the industry really, but
Yeah.
especially in loyalty, everyone's talking about how AI is going to revolutionize the industry, and we're going to talk about a few things, and maybe where AI doesn't quite work yet. But I think personally, I mean, I'm 20 plus years. I mean, I'm only obviously 27, so I started
Yeah.
very.
Yeah.
But I've been working in loyalty for a long time, and I feel like we've had AI in terms of machine learning. We've had AI for a long time. To think about the way that the grocers work, the airlines, the hotels, etc., the way they're processing data, especially the grocers, real-time offers, etc., and
Yeah.
data processing. I mean, machine learning's been around for a while, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think retail, specifically grocery retail, but I think a lot of the airline travel and tourism stuff is very much at the forefront of that. I think AI is it's quite interesting. It's got a bit of a naming problem because, as you say, it's been around forever, but most people know it as machine learning. And then
Yeah.
and I mean AI itself as a term has been around for sort of 50, 60 years, but that ability to take lots of data from sales and transactions and customers, whether that be in an airplane, whether that be an airport, whether that be in a grocery store, and utilize that without humans doing that because it's too difficult and too hard to complicate to get the right person, the right offer at the right time. I think is a brilliant thing that the retailers have done. I mean, you look at what even today, nectar pricing, club card pricing in the grocers. Look at the dynamic pricing that you have on people like
Yeah.
Jet2 or some of the major airlines. I think the way that most people who don't work in the industry or tech don't quite understand how dynamic and how difficult that is
Mm.
to work out. And when you look at those prices, the individual who gets that club card voucher says, "Oh, I've got 30p off Kenko. That's great. I really like Kenko." They
Yeah.
don't realize the person with the trolley next to them's got 30p off Nescafe, and the
Yeah.
person around the corner has got an offer for Yorkshire tea, and the next person on has got an offer for a Tassimo machine, because it's a really personal thing. That
Yeah.
interaction between a service that you're getting, you don't think about the tech behind it,
No.
but very much so. Retail is. I talk to lots of organisations where retail is embedded, and
Yeah.
loyalty schemes in particular for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And they've been doing that very well for a very long time. And I think we need to remember that. People talk about, oh, AI is the new thing within loyalty, the new innovation. But actually, it doesn't feel like it is a new innovation. But maybe the innovation's coming in different forms. And I think, what we've talked about there is very much about processing the transactional information that you have on a customer and structuring offers that align to what they've bought and how they've interacted with the brand. Maybe how where they've been on the website and things like that. Those sorts of things can feed in, but they're very much transactional, real things. And as we move into kind of a bit more, as loyalty becomes a bit more of an emotional connection or an
Mm-hmm.
experiential experience that people are engaging with the brand, we need to think about it in a different way. And I think the next thing for me, where AI is really working well, is the ability to scrape data from other
Yeah.
sources. Maybe it's gathering information from your social media profiles. Maybe it's gathering it from other interactions that you have with customer service, how you've reacted to emails they've sent out or SMS or whatever. All these other ways that a person interacts. And then the AI is taking that and crunching the data, creating profiles, creating dynamic segments. Would
Yeah,
you agree that that's the sort of next step?
absolutely. I think if you look at, what is transactional data and loyalty, it's a reflection of what you eat or what you
Yeah,
consume or
yeah,
what you're buying. It's not a reflection of why you're doing that or what is the emotional intent behind that or what's the buying decision. So it always tends to be a little bit backward looking
yeah,
and quite narrow, but effectively narrow, because if you're in a supermarket aisle and you're making a decision about something that you're going to buy, knowing what you've done historically is a great advantage.
mm,
But where any machine learning or any analytical function is really powerful is when it starts to understand more about you as an individual and what is your intent, what's your
mm,
emotion behind that. So you look at, I think Amazon are a great example of this. Amazon want the family to have all individual profiles.
yeah,
Apple do the same on Apple Music, right? And their various Apple products as well. Netflix want different profiles for different
yeah,
people because they realize if your kids on Amazon have got a profile, and I understand that they're behaving differently to the parents, I can start thinking when they become old enough to start sending them offers,
yeah,
I can do something that's based to them. You look at taking image recognition, taking data about all sorts of things that
yeah,
your interactions, as you say, with customer services, because it's all focused on training an AI model. It's
yeah,
all focused on AI isn't. So you talk about it being a shiny thing. I get really on my high horse about this. Lots of people talk about the future. Here's this silver bullet of AI, but AI is only as good as the data that you are training the model with.
mm,
And quite often we sort of forget about the link between those two. Those businesses that are really good at understanding that the more data I get and the more accurate it is, the better I can optimize my machine learning or my language models. They will take the big leaps forward. Those businesses that think if I put AI in, everything will be all right, won't won't go as far because they're not thinking about that link of
yeah, yeah.
what trains the model. So,
Yeah, that's really interesting. We'll come on to the training of the model. It's maybe the key success factor, I suppose, for AI moving forward. But yeah, that Amazon is a really fascinating one for me, I think. And I feel like they have developed so much. I think it was, if you go back 10 years or so, it would be if you bought two or three baseball caps, it would immediately think you are baseball cap addict. And it'd be like, oh, here's more baseball caps. Here's a case to put your baseball caps in. Here's a load of hooks to hang them on. But it really has got a lot more sophisticated. And I feel like I'm a big Prime fan.
yeah,
I've uploaded all my family photos to Amazon. I've set up all my family with different accounts within the one family account. We use Prime an awful lot. We use Audible. We use Prime Video. The amount of information they know about us, they could paint a lot of a very specific picture of the family and the individual members of the family as we all use we watch different shows, etc., etc. So, and I think that's where AI must come in. AI must
mm,
be processing all that data, and it's become so much more effective now. The things that you are offered when you're on the site or your emails, etc., are it's super powerful. So they're getting it right. But for me, what I would say is the area where it isn't quite working is the customer care bit.
yeah,
So machine learning, AI to create segments, but the next step is the customer care. I know there's been a lot of chat in the industry about how chatbots are going to take over from customer care representatives. I'm just not feeling it. I've got to be honest. Like the few occasions where I have to chat to a chatbot, if I'm banking or doing something else like that. By the time I'm at that point, I want to speak to somebody. The chatbot is not going to be able to answer me because I've tried to get the solution through the app or the website and I can't do it myself. The issue is, well, I know maybe I'm speaking to my insurer or my pension or my bank or whatever, and I'm stuck. And the AI just can't answer. And it just actually becomes 10 minutes of frustration before you finally do actually get through to a person. So tell me, how do we solve this? How does this improve?
Well, firstly, I think it's a very valid observation. I think certainly personally, I have those frustrations with chatbots. I have those, and I know my family do, and my friends do. So, and I imagine the vast majority of people watching and listening to this well. So I think it's a really good observation. I think the interesting piece is, and I think there's two bits, is a chatbot really AI? So it depends on the quality of the model. You know, there are some people, because it might look and feel the same on the top, you know, it's just something pops up on the screen.
Yeah,
There's a world of difference between something just being a list of questions effectively with lots of rote answers versus something that is utilizing insight and data from all over. I think
yeah, this is true.
fundamentally, yeah, I think fundamentally the problem though is one around how those models and those platforms and those products are being trained. So going back to what we were talking about before, there's a classic example in financial services. We do quite a lot of work in financial services. Financial services have grown talking about customers, but actually what they mean is product. So they talk about mortgages, they talk about current accounts, savings accounts, insurance, annuities, etc., etc. And those have either grown by acquisition, so a bank of one size bought somebody else, and they're on different platforms, and it's too complicated to sort of bring it all together. Or I'll run it a free way, and you see in that world, you see a load of siloed data. It's all vertical. So if you've got a current account and a savings account, or you've got a current account and a mortgage with a financial service provider, it's more than likely that those two sets of data aren't linked together. So
Mhm.
if they're not linked together, how do you train an AI module or a chatbot or whatever to understand the relationship between
Yeah,
how those interact? So there's a really interesting piece of legislation that sort of came about last summer in the financial services sector called consumer duty. And in a nutshell, basically what it says is you have to look after vulnerable customers and make sure you can identify them and you
yeah,
protect them. But if in your data set, if your core data, you cannot line up whether that person has a current account and a mortgage, what you don't see is one of the biggest indicators of a person going to default on a mortgage or a loan or another product is the number of times a day they check the balance of their current account, right? So if
yeah,
you're checking it really regularly, you've got to worry about money coming in or money going out, right?
yeah,
And if you've got a worry there, you've got an increased likelihood of not being able to pay a big monthly bill. But if that data isn't organized in a way that you can train a bot or an AI module, it can't learn, and it's not intuitive. It is not. You know, the robots aren't coming in to take over. It's not like Terminator. It's not. It's not Judgment Day. What people often get confused about AI at the moment, and partly because it's probably got the wrong name, right? It should be machine learning rather than AI, but is that it's not got that imagination. It's not going to think, has this person got another product with us? How do I
yeah,
solve
right.
those
It
issues
needs to
of
be
data being
trained.
struck?
Yeah, the
It
AI
needs to be
has to be
trained.
trained to do that. Right. Okay.
Yeah, and
So
if
really,
it's
it's kind of it's not really fair for us consumers, for me to say, oh, this chatbot isn't it's rubbish. It doesn't do anything. First of all, it might not that chatbot might not actually be AI, but if it is AI, if it's conversational AI, if its aspirations or the business's aspirations is for that to operate like Alexa or Siri or something like that,
yeah,
then they have to train it to see those triggers and make those links.
yeah, that is the key thing. People and it's quite a political thing. So, I don't want to sound over political, but you might have Rishi interviewing Elon Musk or being on a stage talking about AI is going to save the world. That's the really sexy stuff because that's really exciting to talk about. It's new.
Yeah.
What's not sexy is by the way, to make this work as effectively, you've got to restructure and organize your data so that you are training the model more effectively to optimize for your customers. And what it can do is amplify and either orthodoxies, or it can make gaps in what you need to do bigger. So again, I think Sainsbury's, Tesco, grocers who do these personalized pricing, that is so complex. Billions and billions of rows of data, billions of transactions, trying to bring in additional information to understand how you work, to work out, are you 10p off this, 20p off this, do you want this product, do you want that product? But you look at somewhere like Sainsbury's, for example, and I have lots of friends who work for Sainsbury's, they're a brilliant organization. I go to Argos and I get Nectar points, but they cannot scan my digital app Nectar card at the till because they don't have the hardware to do it.
So
So
you
they're
have to have
reliant.
the old school card.
You have to either have the old school card or you manually have to type it into yourself. And what that says to me as a data person is those two databases are completely different.
Yeah, don't match.
Right?
Yeah.
They don't match. And there's something going on in the background that is either hand cranking or requires lots of human intervention. And at the point where these things do not match, and at the point where this requires lots of hand cranking, that means you will have suboptimal execution of any AI at the front end.
Yeah, so the AI, there's no chance for the AI to say, we've seen James here in Argos, we know he's a Nectar card user, or vice versa, that it can't do it because the two data sources don't match. Yeah, there's a
or it requires a human to intervene, or it requires an overnight update, or it requires something that is not in real time. Something and once and in the world of retail and loyalty, if the key behavior you're trying to influence requires me to go back to the store, you've got a degradation of customers, right? You want to be trying to do, you're sending people those promotions because you want them to do something there and then. But I'm not collecting that information in a way that allows me to do that. And if you work for Sainsbury's or Argos, you're on this call, I apologize. That's my perception if it's not quite that way. But you see it all the time, and it's about, AI doesn't have an imagination. It's not going to put two and two together and come up with something that is wacky. It's going to put two and two together and get four because that's what it's been told. It's been told to do. Those bits where human insight and imagination come in are great. I mean, I think we briefly touched on about this. People have feared that AI is going to come over and take over their jobs, right?
Yeah.
It should free people up from boring admin and really task-orientated stuff that takes ages and ages and ages and ages to allow people to execute what they're there to do. You think about all of the jobs you've had in your life where you spend a huge amount of time typing stuff into an Excel spreadsheet.
Absolutely.
That sort of stuff should be automated, and you should be adding the value to the organization you work for.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, so really, I guess what we're saying is AI could do customer care much, much better than it does at the minute. And really, the thing that is maybe holding it back in a lot of places is the fact that the data's not available to AI in every aspect. And we're not yet training the AI in the right way to perform that customer care job. I think we try and make this about 15 minutes, and I think we've gone over, but I'm really enjoying the conversation. So let's carry on for another few minutes. But one of the examples I bought a new car recently, and me and my son are big BMX racing fans. So one of the questions I asked the chatbot was, can I fit two BMXs in the back of this new car? Bit of an odd one, but really, and I'm just trying to, because I'm a bit of a nerd, I'm trying to con the chatbot, see if the chatbot can actually deal with these wacky questions. And it couldn't. It just didn't know what I was talking about. But is there a way? I mean, that's quite an extreme example. There can't be many people that are asking the chatbot from a car manufacturer that. But is there a way that the chatbot could learn? Could it learn from? Is there a way to program it so it could learn to do that?
Yeah, of course there is absolutely. I think what that brings in is a bit of industry orthodoxy or legacy thinking. So the reason that Google and Amazon and Apple are brilliant at AI is they haven't got 100 years of running stores or building cars or doing things in a way that everybody's done it, selling houses, whatever, to unwind to create the data. What's interesting is you think about that, right? So I suspect, I like you don't buy I buy a car once every 3 or 4 years, right? I think from memory, the space in the boot in cars is measured in liters, right?
Yeah, like
So
cubic liters, yeah, which nobody has any idea what that means.
yeah, no, it's the industry knows what it means because they'll be
Yeah.
going, BMW is this, Volvo is this, and
Yeah.
Audi's this. The only possible time that that can be relevant is when if you're transporting a giant fish tank. But to
Yeah.
most people, it's can I fit the dog in it? Can I fit a
Yeah.
pram in it? Can I fit a buggy in it? Can I fit the bikes in it? Can I fit
Yeah.
27 bags of shopping in it? So the problem is that the AI bot in that instance, if it's an AI bot, which probably is learning from it's being taught from industry orthodoxy that all of the definitions of the size of a boot are in cubic liters.
Yeah.
And then it will be getting asked questions. It might not be about BMX bikes, but it might be about shopping. It might be about proms and buggies.
Yeah.
And that isn't in that context. So it just
Yeah.
goes, I'm not interested in that. The simple solution is to train the chatbot that there are other ways to define the size of a boot.
Yeah.
And then if it's got some machine learning and some element of generative, it will start to learn that this is a bike. And because this is a bike, I'm thinking about this size and shape of what a bike looks like. And broadly, this is what I can fit in. But as we said before, AI doesn't have imagination. It's not going
Yeah.
to leap from cubic liters to 2 BMX
Yeah.
and some shopping without being taught. And it just comes back
Yeah.
to train the models effectively and you get the output out of it.
Yeah, amazing. Right. So yeah, so great. That's been really interesting conversation. Thank you. So I think what we've really come to discuss there is that AI's actually been around in loyalty forever, and it actually has been used really good. It will help us with customer care in the future, but brands need to think about how they are sorting their data out so that the AI's got access to all the different bits that it needs. And secondly, how do you train the AI to think like a human, not think like a robot? And that they're the two things that brands need to invest. You can't just stick an AI chatbot in and hope it'll go well. You've got to invest. You've got to work it and train it and make it right.
Challenge your orthodoxies about is the language you use internally about customers,
Yeah.
for customers, or what customers use? Have you got your data platforms and data sorted and structured in a way that you can utilize all of it? And is the execution of it, are you doing it because you want to optimize something for a customer and free up time from your employees for doing the manual stuff to make
Yeah.
sure that they can really add the value? Think about those three things and you won't be so
Yeah,
far away.
amazing. All right, perfect. Well, thanks. That was a really stimulating,
Pleasure.
interesting conversation. Thank you very much. And thank you, everybody, for listening, tuning in. Hope you enjoyed. Please provide feedback, give us comments, contact me, find me on LinkedIn, and let me know what you thought. And thank you again, and we'll speak to you all again soon. Thanks very much.
Thanks a lot.